If anybody else, as we're going through, anybody else comes in, we'll just go ahead and let them in. Hello, those folks that are here today. It is a Thursday. I'm looking out my window. Looks like a nice day. I'm not gonna say it's a warm day. We had some warm weather that came through, and then all of a sudden we got cold again. It's like, oh no, make up your mind, please. But we are ready. As the slide says, ready, set, go. We're doing a part 2 of that. Today will be some literacy enrichment activities that you can walk away with. I'm going to kind of go back to this slide right here. The 3 words using 3 words to describe your favorite color. Those were also the hidden message behind that was also those are the words that describe yourself, what you think of yourself. So looking at those words, I couldn't think of the colors that came with those words. So mine was black. Anybody want to share what theirs was?
Mine was yellow.
Yellow. Okay. How about you, Vic or Andrea? I'm in the
Looks
chat.
like Vic was blue and Andrea was purple.
Purple. Okay. Interesting. This is an activity that you could do with your kids that you don't have to do the hidden message, but the activity that you could do with your kids to see how well they describe colors. And then you can go from there. I mean, there's a lot of other things that you can branch off with this particular activity. You can also do animals. It doesn't necessarily have to be colors. You can do favorite animals. You can do anything in a room and have them describe using descriptive words. Again, that's kind of like that whole vocabulary building type situation where we're using words for meaning, using words to describe things. So this was just a quick thing that you could do with your kiddos. Housekeeping, last part. This is our last session. So this will be the last time that you hear me talk about housekeeping. Again, at any time you need to step away, feel free to do that. Just be mindful of others and turn off your video or your sound. I know that this is also during lunchtime. So again, I always say this is a working lunch. Before I do move on to the next slide, I also want to get out to that we will be sending out an evaluation, hopefully either tomorrow or sometime next week. And if the evaluation is for the whole entire session, so the whole entire year that you will evaluate my performance on. Once you get that, if you can answer the questions on there and then get that back to us, that would be greatly appreciate that. We use that data for not just for me and making things better the next year, but we also use that data for the Department of Education and Iowa After School Alliance uses that data as well. Also, the last thing, the posting of the videos, I had thought I had sent in the last session, found out, nope, it got mixed up in some other things. So I will send out the last session, session 5, and then this session to Hannah for it to get posted. And then once it gets posted, we'll reach out to you to let you know that you can get on and utilize those videos. I was on there the other day and I realized too that last year's videos are on there. So feel free, folks, you have access to that. Utilize those videos for any PDs that you want to do. You can use the whole entire content that's on there, take content from there and put it into your own, but it's for you to use and for you to use as reference. Okay, moving right along. We are getting down to the end of the school year. Some programs will be wrapping up pretty soon and then probably going into their summer program. There are some programs that don't have a summer program. I just wanted to do a kind of a public service announcement for these two two resources here. Utilizing your library during the summertime. I know here in Des Moines, they have a lot of different activities that programs can get into. Due to COVID, they do ask, kind of less numbers than before. But otherwise, I mean, the libraries are open for programs to go in there, utilize what they're doing. I know that they have a reading program, so they have a reading challenge here in our libraries. I think Ankeny does too. I was in Ankeny's library and I thought I saw something too, that they also have a reading challenge going on for the summer, but utilizing that as a resource. Scholastic. Scholastic has a wonderful summer program as well. It's online. It goes from mid-April to the beginning of September. Students are able to get on, they're able to track their reading, they're able to get rewards when they get to certain levels. You can get on there as a program as well, create a profile and track your reading as a program. They also have like their summer reading challenge. They post summer reading list. So they have a list of books according to grades that kids, whether it's kids that have picked at the books, whether it's Scholastic that has picked it, or books that have been like really popular throughout the year, they put on that list. So just kind of putting a little plug in for those resources there. Now moving on into our session. I wanted to kind of do a little thing. So this session is going to have a variety of activities, a variety of suggestions that you can do for your program. I wanted to throw this one in here because sometimes we get in a kind of a funk and we do things we kind of get comfortable in what we do. And sometimes our kids are like, well, this is boring. So if we're able to get in and do some literacy enrichment stations, kind of break up the monotony of what you're doing in your program, this is something that you could do maybe once a week. I mean, it depends on how your program flows, but these will be 15 to 30-minute rotations. These will be things that you can, so either you're gonna have them in a partner or you're gonna could do them as a whole group, that's up to you. Or usually you'll have them individual. So usually when you're doing stations, usually partnerships or they're doing individual. So with the elementary, any of the sight words, you can do what's called sight word go fish or sight word memory. And really it's just the go fish game, but you're using the sight words for it. Same thing with word memory. It's memory game, but it's using the sight words. And these are activities that I actually got off of Google. So if you want to get on Google, get on, there's tons of activities that you can do. Another rotation for elementary is the CVC activities. And we know that CVC stands for the consonant, vowel, consonant, like map, cap, tap. Doing word dominoes game, you can do that. You can do the building blocks I have right here. This would be the building blocks that you could do. Oh, kind of. Hold on. I'm sorry. That makes, okay. I don't know if you can see that. It kind of got blocked by the, that makes it better. There we go. Those are the building blocks. You can either create those yourself or you can get online and get some online. If you have teachers that use those, be great to have in your station as well. And then the flip books. And the flip books are, you can either have kids create their own flip book or you create the flip book. So it's just basically the alphabet, A through Z on one side, in the middle it's the vowels, and then on the right hand side it would be the alphabet A through Z again. and they just use it as a flip book. And in that particular station, you would probably have directions on what they needed to do. If they needed to create 3 or 4 words, then you would have that direction in there. The next one on elementary is for kids to read selective short stories. So you may have some stories that are short. These stories would be, they could probably read these stories within an 8-minute time, 5 to 8 minutes, because you want them to get multiple stories in the time frame that you're allowing for your rotation. The thing is that with the first story that they read, they have to do a check for understanding, so that you simply would just have questions to gauge the reading that they did. And then the rest of the stories would just be free reign. They can, kind of just read them for leisure time. And again, this will be grades 3 through 5th grade. Possibly 2nd grade, depending on the level of reading that you have. You could possibly go down to 2nd grade. And then the last one for elementary is technology. And yes, some people kind of frowned on the technology, but if you have iPads, or you're in a district where the kids are one-on-one, where they have their own computers, just kind of incorporating that in there. So you could do PBS Learning Media. This is an online, PBS has an online website that has different learning resources. They have reading, math, I think they even have social studies on there. And it's K through 12th grade. For elementary, you could do ABC Mouse if that's what you guys do in your program. And then the school reading programs, and I put that in there because, so like the school reading programs would be like iReady, Read 180, those programs that you utilize in your school, having the kids get on, just allows for them to get that extra practice that they may not even get from home. Or again, just you can go in and probably create a class of your own if you have access to that, and then have them do different activities within that class that you create. But it's just allowing for them to get that extra practice. And then the last one that I put on there is the Reader Rabbit Clue Finders. These are the like oldie but goodies. And they're on CD-ROM. So like I said, the oldie but goodies. The Reader Rabbits, the adventure learning ones. If you have a CD-ROM, a CD player that can play those, that would be nice. If not, then I mean, like I said, I have the question marks on there. These were really good. I did this in a summer program, and the kids loved them. I mean, we had to come up with some rules because they wanted to fight over them, but the kids loved them. They don't make this anymore. They don't make the Reader Rabbits anymore, so you can't even get online to get them. But I'm sure that if you look online that you can find something similar. So that's elementary. And again, these are rotations. So these will be different stations that you have out. The stations, notice that these stations are independent, so that kids are doing this independently. They don't need much staff instruction to them. Now hopping over to middle school. For middle school, you would do some writing prompts. And I always like these. I had to put this in there. The cootie catcher. Do it in a cootie catcher way to just make it interesting. They have to pick the color, they have to pick the number, and then you probably have them do something else. And then whatever they pick, that is the writing prompt that they would be writing from. So writing prompts such as, if I had $1 million, if I was a principal for the day. That's actually a good one. Kids love to do that one. I can get struggling readers. I can get my kids who really don't like to write. If I was a principal for the day, it's a wrap, because they're going to be sitting down, they're going to be writing. And the thing with the writing prompt is it's no more than a page. Kids, by the time they get to middle school, should be writing at least 2 paragraphs, if not more. Okay. The next one on the middle school is the CVC activities. Again, the consonant, vowel, consonant. Now we're getting into the bigger words. And it's the same activities, the word domino game, building with blocks, and flip books. Vocabulary builders. And I actually we're going to get into more detail with the vocabulary builders, but doing things that build vocabulary in our middle school. Wonderful thing that you could do. You can do this at the elementary. If you do at the elementary, you can go probably down 4th or 5th grade to do vocabulary builders. Actually, you can go all the way down to kindergarten. We'll get into that as we go along. Technology, the same thing. The whole CBS learning media. You may not do ABC Mouse for middle school. You may have something else that you use for middle school. Again, utilizing those reading programs. And then the last station would be critical thinking. Anything with critical thinking in it is a good literacy one. It could be the math word problems that you have. It could be like social skills scenarios. Like if your friend came to you and they were sad, how would you deal with that situation? And then any type of trivia or puzzles will work as well. Okay. Any questions about that particular slide? And again, this is just a short list. This is just to kind of get juices flowing, get those ideas going like, oh, hey, there's more things that we can do. Any questions on this one? Okay, we're going to keep on going. So now we're going to get to the vocabulary development and building. I've said this multiple times in sessions prior to this one, that if we could do anything that we can do, any type of activities we could do to build vocabulary is wonderful. According to research, we store knowledge in 2 different forms. Okay, so we have knowledge, we store it in 2 different forms. The first form is linguistics, and this is going to be the written as well as verbal words, phrases, or statements that we see. So book, hello, over the top, things like that, statement, and then also statements. And then we also store it non-linguistic, which basically is just pictures that we create in our memories, in our head, that tend to go with our sensations, okay? Like smell, taste, touch. The kinesthetic association is hands-on, when you're actually doing things hands-on. That's how we store information as well. So the benefit of doing vocabulary development and building is it creates word exposure. Whether we're adding to what kids already know, or whether we're already taking what they already know and adding things to it, adding meaning to it, which takes us to the next thing. It allows for kids to create meaning to words. So it's not just a word, now you have meaning to it. Now you're able to put it in a sentence. Now you're able to, you understand the definition. Now you're able to be able to have conversation and interact with people because now you have the meaning. And then it also provides a connection to prior knowledge. Like I said, kids by the time they get to us, they have this vast vocabulary. By the time they're actually 3 or 4 years old, their vocabulary is about 10,000 words. I mean, they're really a lot of words there. So it's just allowing for you to make connections to what they already know. And then the outcome is that they become proficient. And if you look at the areas that they become proficient in, like listening, speaking, reading, and writing, that equates to literacy. And that's exactly what we've been doing this whole entire year, is talking about literacy enrichment. So when we're doing those vocabulary developments, we're talking about literacy. We're looking at literacy in a different perspective. On the right-hand side, the way that you go about delivering it, now we're going to kind of get into the aesthetics of the development. So your delivery of the vocabulary is definitely going to be based on what groups you're working with, what grade you're with. Because if you're with a kindergarten, first grade group, you're probably just going to be doing a lot of discussion, not so much writing, but discussion. If you're with an older group, you're going to be having them doing some writing assignments. There's going to be some writing going to that. And we can do it in a number of ways that can help us. We can use graphic organizers. We can do vocabulary journals, literally having kids create journals so that they have that information they can reference back to. And we can do word walls. Now, I put mobile on here because if you are a program that has to have some shared space, you may have to do your word wall mobile. You may have to figure out how that's going to work for you. Most of the time, these are done before an activity or lesson. So most of the time, we're going to be trying to either we're going to introduce new words. We're going to have, you're just wanting kids to focus on some words, or you're doing a review of words. Okay. So usually how we do that is that you would discuss the word, provide a definition, and depending on the group that you're with, you may have them provide the definition. You may have them have that writing activity where they have to go out and find it. And then of course, give examples. And then the other part, sometimes is, can be just done to build meaning. I mean, we're just doing activities, we're doing things just to build meaning. So we can use sight word lists to do that, spelling list. I put DIY because you could create your own list if you want to. And then games, Scrabble and Boggle, Bananagrams, those all do things that create meaning, or build meaning, I should say. So moving on to the next one. So I'm actually we're gonna do the first two, and then, so I'm gonna actually have you do one of the activities, okay? So the first two that you see, the first two activities on here, grades 3+ and K through second grade, are actually done to build meaning. The last activity that you see on this slide is to do before a lesson. So this is something that you can do K through 12th grade if you're doing before a lesson. So as I said before, you would discuss the word, you would provide definitions or have them provide definitions, and then you would provide examples. So for example, let's say that we're doing parts of a story, and I want kids to know what character, setting, plot, conflict, and resolution is. I want them to actually know those words. So then I would have them look those words up. If I'm with a younger group, I would actually talk about them, again, providing examples. The second example in that is, let's say we're doing a STEM activity and we're doing lava lamps. I may not so much want kids to really know what this information is, unless I'm probably with older kids. But I just want them to know, to have that feeling, to be exposed to these words. So I would probably talk about density, states of matter, water, and carbon dioxide, because those are the things that you will see if you're actually creating lava lamps. Those are things that we would see. Those are things that they're going to be dealing with. So then again, we get into that linguistic and non-linguistic information. And that way they're storing that information. Okay. So going back up to the first two activities. So if I was doing it with grades 3+, actually, this is what I'm going to do. I actually had us actually doing the activity because I thought there was going to be more people today, but I'll just walk through it. So the first activity, if I was doing this with grades 3 and older, I would actually have like 5 words, and I would have them choose 3 words. And then with those 3 words, then I would have them use dictionaries. And if you have I wouldn't say old dictionaries, but if you actually have the book dictionaries, that would be awesome. Because there's a lot of benefits of using the book dictionaries instead of having kids get online and using the dictionary. A lot of benefits to that. But you would have them look up the definition. In this particular activity, they would have to look up the word pronunciation of how to pronounce that word. And then they would have to look up 2 synonyms and 2 antonyms. Okay. And you can decide what information you want kids to look at. Okay? It does not necessarily have to be this way. If I was doing this with K through 2nd grade, I would, again, have 5 words. Staff can either choose the words, or I would do like put the words in a hat and let the kids choose the words that way. And then I would say the word, spell the word as I'm writing this on the board. Okay. And we can get into another activity. I would probably, if I want to add some fun to this, I may go outside and do this in the sandbox. That way kids are able to, when I say the word and I'm writing the word, they're able to write the word in the sand. If I'm okay with kids messing with shaving cream, I may have them have shaving cream on a construction paper and have them, when I'm saying and spelling the word, they're spelling the word with me, just to kind of make it that fun piece there. And then, of course, you're discussing the definition and providing examples. Okay. Any questions on the vocabulary builders? Any thoughts, ideas? Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Literacy kits. If you are a program that does literacy kits, yes, I congratulate you. Keep it going. Keep up the good work with the literacy kits. With literacy kits, we can do them 2 different ways. You can do them for program as well as for your family night. I know some of you do family night, but you can also utilize them for your program. What you see on this slide is actually set up to be used for programming within your program. Okay. So the way that you would possibly set that up doesn't mean that it has to be this way, is that you either are going to do the large group or small group. Small group is definitely preferred method. And then the time frame is anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes, depending on the time that you give. And then your days will vary depending on the book that you're reading. Some of the books are going to take a little bit longer. And then notice that I have purpose. And this is another word that I've used a lot throughout this year, is being intentional. Being intentional about what we are doing, being intentional about the activities and lessons and whatever we're bringing into our program. Intentionality helps us to be clear on what we're trying to do. It also allows for us to provide quality programming as well. So if you create purpose in doing these literacy kits, you're also allowing for yourself to go, okay, am I doing what needs to be done? What am I asking kids to do, or what I want them to do when we're done? And then having directions, and then any directions that could be your literacy kit instructions that staff's gonna refer to. Again, just really doing things, like I said, the preferred method is smaller groups. And then if there's any type of vocabulary, you want to do that before you get into your reading, so that kids know, if when they come across those words, they know what those words are. Okay. Any questions on the literacy kits? And I did send out an email saying that I do have literacy kits. I will get those sent out as soon as people get back with me and I get them together. And actually, the books that you see here are the ones that, except for Flat Stanley, are the ones that I actually have. All right, literacy enrichment for middle school, high school. I wanted to add some more to what we had last session. So just adding a little 4 more to it. So the first one on here is bio boards. These can be done at any time. Bio boards are really just posters that are about important people in history. And you're having kids look up certain pieces of information and presenting that. So it could be presented to the group. You can utilize it and present it at family night so people know what you're doing on your family nights. You can record the kids doing their presentation and using this at orientation, at registration to get more kids into your program. But it's just a way of, like I said, excuse me, celebrating somebody and their accomplishments. And this could be done throughout the year. Can even be done in the summertime. You can make it a themed. That's really up to how the staff wants to do that. Journaling. I think when kids get into middle school, high school, allowing for them to journal, giving them time to journal their experiences, journal what they're learning, a way to express what they're learning. So I put here a 3-2-1 exit slip. You do not have to do this. But what an exit slip is kind of like that 3 things that they learned, 2 things I found interesting, and 1 thought that I had. So again, they're able to process the information that they're learning. I had actually one program was doing this and they found out that it was beneficial. They were doing it at the end of the week. So they were doing it on a Friday. That Friday after the kids left, the staff would take them home and read through them. And it was just a way for staff to go, oh, hey, well, we didn't meet this goal, or hey, oh, they really like this activity. We'll have to bring this activity back. Or, oh, hey, kids were able to express what they were feeling, what they were processing, what they were learning. The third one on here is a book preview. And I put this one in here because I got to thinking about people, like programs in their libraries that they have. I was at one program and there was some books that got pushed way back in the back of the bookcase. Like these books, I swear they were back there because they had dust on them. I'm like, do you not read these books? Are these the books not being read? So this is a way to create excitement about those books that got pushed back in the back of the bookcase, or books that you want, new books you're introducing. So you would just do a selection of books, however many is manageable for whoever's going to be doing this. And then you provide instructions on how kids are going to go through this preview. So they can either listen to, a snippet of the book on audio. You can have kids say, choose a book and you have to read the first 2 pages, or you may even have to read the first chapter just to kind of get the feel of the book. Or you can have them get online and look up the reviews on this particular book. What has people said? Did they say negative things about it? Did they say positive things about it? Just to kind of, again, build interest in those books that you have. And then the last one for literacy enrichment for middle school, high school is life skills and leadership. Like I said, literacy goes way beyond just having kids get a book and go sit down and read. But if you could provide life skills and leaderships within your program, again, I don't have any activities because this would be definitely a needs based on the needs that you have in your program, as well as the interest. Any questions about that particular one? Thoughts, comments? Okay, we're going to keep going. Okay, book clubs. I wanted to come back to this. We got into book clubs last session. We actually went through the process of the lesson plan process last session. And I wanted to revisit this because a lot of programs do book clubs. And there's nothing wrong with book clubs. Again, I'm going to use that word as long as we're intentional about what we're asking kids to do, what we want kids to be able to know and do after we're done with the book club, that's going to be the important piece right there. But I also wanted to go over the benefits of doing book clubs. Kids are able to practice and master literacy skills. So when you are doing these book clubs, and again, you're being intentional, you have reflective questions, you have reading questions that you're doing, you're checking for understanding. Kids are able to do, again, they're able to practice the reading piece, they're doing the writing assignments, and then they're having discussions about the book. It also kind of creates an environment where kids are taking a positive look towards reading, because reading is not just reading for information, we also read for leisure, okay? So it allows for them to form a deeper understanding that, again, we just don't read for information, we read for leisure. That, and then reading for leisure, like Dr. Seuss goes, all the places that you can go when you're reading for leisure. You know, the things that we can get into, the things that it doesn't even have to be fiction. It could be a nonfiction book. It could be a biography, autobiography. I mean, there's so many different genres out there. And then once you start doing book clubs, and again, being intentional about them, you're promoting that perspective on reading. It turns it into a different perspective on how you look at a book, how you look at the reading piece of it. And then the last piece, it definitely develops and grows critical thinking skills. And I underline critical thinking skills because if we're doing this at the elementary level and middle school level, once they get into high school and they get into those English classes and they're reading those books that they have to read in English class, our kiddos will be ahead of the game. You know, those books, like I said, How to Kill a Mockingbird, what is the other one, that Romeo and Juliet, what's the other one that is very popular in high school that they read? So when they're reading those books in English class, they're able to stay along with the book. They're able to answer the questions because we know how some of those questions are, and they're able to participate, okay? If we're doing this at the elementary and middle school, we're preparing them for high school as well. I just added this slide back in. This is the planning process of putting a book club together, whether you're using a chapter book or graphic novel. And then I want to give you some examples of some book clubs that have been done. So the first example, this was a book club, the Chicken Soup. This was actually a pretty good book club. It was the character building one, the read aloud. This was done with a group of 5th graders and 5th grade boys, mind you. The particular staff, so in this book, there's different sections, and this was the section of being kind. So the way that she delivered the book club was she did a lot of vocabulary building, a lot of group discussion, and more verbal than in written. Same thing with checking for the understanding, you know, asking questions and things like that. And then she did a lot of various connection activities because she wanted to, these particular boys, there was behavioral issues. So she was trying to get ahead of the game before anything else. So we talked about gratitude and acts of kindness. This is Centervention. And I don't know if anybody has heard of Centervention. Wonderful, wonderful website. Now, I'm not a spokesperson for these people, but this website is bookmarked for me. This is an SEL website. And let me see if I actually have this website. Yes, I do. Can you folks see that? Okay. again, I'm not a spokesperson for this website, but I do use this website a lot, especially when I'm using it for SEL activities. These are free activities. They do have activities that are not free, but then you get in and pay their subscription. The way that they have it set up, they actually have it where there's like different academies for elementary and middle school. But I like how they have the lessons, the activities that are there. And actually, they've done a lot of revamping in the last 3 to 4 years of me knowing of their website. Let me actually go into one of them. I'm going to just pop in one of their. So the way that this is set up is this is actually a lesson, the self-awareness lesson. So they provide you with some background information. They give you some research information, and then you scroll down a little further. They tell you what the grade level this is intended for, kind of give you the duration, the time frame. And then they actually provide you with materials to do the activity. What I like about it is the way that they have it set up. This is really pretty self-explanatory. So you can give this to your staff, have your staff read through, and then go ahead and do the activity. It's already set up just like a lesson plan. So it's given them information. This is how the activity is supposed to go. This is what you possibly can say if you want to. You don't necessarily have to say that. Then it's giving you, this is how we're going to play this particular game. These are the cards you need to use. I mean, it gives you all sorts of things. This is how you wrap up the activity. This is just like so awesome. And then down here, it gives you additional resources. So if you want to add some more books in there, you can. If you want to use, use any of the other lesson plans, you can do that as well. This is a wonderful, wonderful site to use for SEL activities. It's called Centervention. Centervention.com. So she got on, she did an activity with gratitude and acts of kindness. And then she pulled some additional storybooks. Like I said, there was some additional story that went with that activity that she had pulled. She utilized those, and then she did a connection activity. And I'm actually going to pull that up to see if I can pull that up. Maybe not. Sorry, I have to do a stop share for a minute and see if I can get that pulled up here. I would imagine, Vic, that we can add this site too for resources. It's a free website, so it's open to the public. I mean, if they want to get into further, they have to pay for their subscription. Yeah, I'll send that information. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to share with you. So then we went into the acts of kindness, and this is like, it has older people in it, but she actually went and did this because the school that is where she is located is actually right down the street from a store. They had permission, and she also got permission to be on the property at the time that she did this. So she made sure she covered her bases. But I'm just going to quickly do a clip of this.
Shoppers carry their groceries.
Have yourself a nice day. Bye.
All set with your cart? Yeah. Great. You're welcome.
Next, we had them order takeout.
Hi. Yes. Can I have 12 tacos, please?
We had them get coffee.
May I please have a decaf green tea?
We had them get the valet to bring the van around. And we had them wash the van.
No, you can keep the change. Thank you. Thank you.
And that's for
Them take the food they just ordered and give it to somebody who needs it.
The pescado
and some water.
and some water. Cool. All right, enjoy.
Would you like some food, sir?
Water? Yeah.
How are you, sir?
I'm actually gonna stop that.
Would you like some fish?
So again, she got permission from parents and from the community to do that. She didn't do the food part, but she did do the getting the shopping carts and putting them in the carousel so that they were not all over the place. So the question, just with a quick thing, so the question is, what random acts of kindness can your program do within the community? Is the question that we're posing on this slide. So if you were to do this particular book club, that would be the question that you would want to answer. And again, remember I had said before in the last session that when we do book clubs, that when we're doing it with older kids, that we can come up with themes, and that way it encourages participation, encourages them to be engaged if it's theme related. The next book club, this is a book club that was done with a group of girls, and they were in 6th grade. And this is Not Enough by Maria Scriven. Their actual theme was self-awareness. And this is a book that's about a girl that's going into 6th grade, and she realizes that she's just not enough. She's not cool enough. She's not even cool enough to keep her best friend. So it's her journey on finding out who she is and what her talents are. So the connection activity that was done was girls were given mirrors, like handheld mirrors, and they were told to look in the reflection and then ask themselves, what do you see that makes you unique from other girls, that makes you unique from other people, not just the girls in the room, but what makes you unique from other people. And then they were able to write down that information, and then they were given some Post-it notes, and then they were able to write down 3 to 5 positive affirmations about their uniqueness. Okay, that was one of the connection activities that they had. Another connection activity was that they did and they got permission from parents to do this, that they did makeup and made girls look pretty, and hair and all that, nails, and kind of did a little salon. Any questions about those two or about book clubs in general? Again, I am all for book clubs as long as it's we're being intentional about it. I've been in programs where it was just to put time. We got 30 minutes, let's just put this book together. Kids weren't being asked questions, kids were squarely, yeah, there really wasn't much to the book club, so. All right. Any questions about what was covered today? I know I've been stopping and saying any questions, comments, thoughts about what we've covered today. I'm actually going to end with